offensive line might be the best it's ever been. They just signed Dalton Risner, and this is an offensive lineman last 2 seasons hasn't allowed a sack. Started 81 games in his career. He's got to start at right guard. He's got to be the starting right guard for you. And Joe Burrow, you got to be happy with what this Bengals team has done. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't, done perfectly. There was times when you were really concerned about this, front office, what they've done. But Trey Hendrickson's back in the building. Shamar Stewart's in the building. You signed Noah Fant. You got your receivers. They got paid. Chase Brown's in the building. You have all the weapons galore. Now you have a better offensive line. The best offensive line the Bengals have had since 2015. It took them a lot to get to this point, but they got to their destination. So Joe Burrow has everything he needs to go out there and ball. This defense should be a little better. This offensive line will be better. I mean, in the preseason, that shit didn't look good. Lucas Patrick as starting on your offensive line is not a good sign. As a depth guy, he's a solid depth guy. But you don't want him starting on your offensive line ever. Cody Ford is a nice rotation guy, veteran. You don't want him starting either. If you could push those guys to the back and have them be, subs, rotations, obviously that's better. That's great. That's an ideal scenario. So the starting line for the Bengals, Orlando Brown Jr. at left tackle, Mims at right tackle, Dylan Fairchild at left guard, and Dalton Risner at right guard, the old former center from the Patriots. So this offensive line looks good. This offensive line looks stout. The Achilles heel for the Bengals has always been the offensive line, and now it looks like they're finally doing something about this. They're making the right moves. Alex Kappa, left guard, put up one of the worst offensive lineman seasons we've seen in quite some time. It was great for the Bucs, but when he came to the Bengals, terrible season. So now having Risner, he's a good pass protector. He could thrive in a pass-first offense. Him and Fairchild should be a nice guard duo, controlling the front. I think he should be the immediate starter right out the gates. I know there was some talk about the Bengals, Zach Taylor saying, we already have our right guard in the building before they signed Risner, but no. He needs to be a starting right guard. He has way more upside, way more experience, way more potential than, starting Jalen Rivers at right guard, who's, a tackle, more of his natural position. So the Bengals moving forward, they have their offense line. Dalton Risner, I think he's going to be an immediate impact, immediate, starter for the Bengals and, help protect Joe Burrow. Interior is important too, because that Titans game, remember that playoff game, Jeffrey Simmons, Joe Burrow got sacked like 10 times it seemed like, and still went to the Super Bowl. Crazy. But I'm really excited that Joe Burrow finally has an opportunity to get a decent clean pocket and just play ball. Just go out there and do what he does best, dissect defenses, put up points. We should expect this Bengals team to be in the playoffs. This Bengals team now after this edition, we should expect them to be in the playoffs and be a contender. And anything can happen in the playoffs with the Bengals and Joe Burrow, clicking on all cylinders with his weapons and, finally having all the pieces in place. So watch out for the fucking Bengals. Some people thought the NFC North was going to be the worst division in football this season. They thought it was going to be as bad as the NFC South.